All right, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner talking Giants, and it is your annual mid-season mock draft for the New York Giants. I do 4 mock drafts every year. I do one at the bye week for the Giants. I do one the week after the Senior Bowl. I do one April 1st, draft month, and then we do one the day of the draft, which is our final one that we account as our official one. I will say, compared to previous years, it feels good to be picking at 27 in these. You know, these have been like the height of Giants content at bye weeks the last few years. You know, last year we basically ended up where we were at the bye week. The year before 2020, we were 1-7. I remember taking Jamar Chase second overall in that one. And that was the first time I did it. So it feels good to be picking at 27 in this one. A couple of things of how I do these. 9 picks in this. Might end up getting 2 comp picks, but again, I'm not going to put those in these mock drafts until we have those. This year I'm using the Pro Football Network Draft Simulator. I like the Draft Networks. Theirs has always been the best and the most accurate to me, but it's just not working right now. So hopefully they fix that out, because I like using their site for like my big boards, and like I create my own big boards. So Draft Network, I love you guys. Figure it out. Also, because it's mid-season, I have a limited knowledge on these guys. Some guys, it's going off of 2021 film, and the majority of the guys we watch going into the season are first round. And spoiler, my first round pick is not someone we looked at the way too early mock draft, because we expect to be picking a little higher than 27th. You know, but I did do a decent amount of homework on these guys, but none of these are like final evaluations, except for the second round pick, because I did a film breakdown on him. And then just some draft philosophies. Need is important. You don't totally throw it away, but I think it's more important in the first couple rounds. You don't reach, but need does matter. But once you get to like day 3, rounds 4 through 7, it truly is best player available for me, because at that point you're just trying to get players that you think have the best chance to be NFL players. That will last, that will get a second contract in the NFL. You're not gonna go plug every hole in the draft. So just get guys that you think can be NFL players. So let's get into it. First of 9 picks, round 1, pick 27. Bobby, are you gonna get us a wide receiver? I did. I was surprised that this guy lasted this long. Maybe the draft boards will adjust once the season's over. I'm getting the Giants a wide receiver, and that wide receiver is who? TCU. Quentin Johnston, 6'4", 193 pounds. I think he might be like 6'2.5", 6'3" at the combine. This year in 8 games, he has 42 catches, 650 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Like I said, I don't think the height is totally accurate, but he is truly an X wide receiver. Like, he wins at all 3 levels of the field. His speed is really good, and he attacks vertically really, really well to stack and get past cornerbacks. Like, his quickness and get off to make guys miss, like, makes him involved in the quick game. Like, you can use this big wide receiver in the screen game, because he's just so quick and has just a natural ability to make guys miss. Like, his releases are very effective. I think they can be a little too steppy, and press might give him some issues, but I think the size, I think he's going to grow through that. But like, his releases, man, he wins at the release a lot. Sells vertically and fights back to the ball really well in his routes, which I think is really important for guys that they're not just, they'll beat you deep. No, like, he fights back to the ball. We talk about curl routes. Like, I think he runs curl routes at an amazing level, and that type of stuff matters, especially when corners are worried about getting beat. When he's getting into routes, I think he sinks his hips and just explodes into his breaks, change of direction, just makes it look effortless at times. Now, his routes aren't super crisp. I think they can be rounded and let the cornerback back into his hip plane. But that's stuff that I think can be fixed. If he's running like a skinny post, it'll be a little rounded, and it just lets that corner kind of get in and close that window off a little bit. So those are the things that he's going to have to get better at. And he's a hands catcher, like, no issues in contested situations. Like, that's a great spot for him. And then you throw a 50-yard deep post to him. He tracks the ball really, really well to stay stacked and not let guys get into the catch space. Like, I really, really, really like Quentin Johnston out of TCU. And I think no matter who the quarterback is, and at this point I think it probably will be Daniel Jones. We'll see. Quentin Johnston is going to be a big piece for whoever the New York Giants have throwing the ball going forward. So round 1, pick 27, Quentin Johnston out of TCU. All right, round 2, pick 58, and I'm going to the offensive line. Well, you guys know that I love picking offensive linemen early. The last 4 years since we've been doing this, my mock drafts at the end have had offensive tackles in the first rounds. Jonah Williams with the 17th pick in 2019. I wanted Thomas with the 4th pick. Rayshon Slater with the 11th pick in 2021, and then Evan Neal we got last year. So no more tackles. No more tackles for the New York Giants in the draft, but we got to work on the interior, and we're going back to the well that got us Andrew Thomas, and we're going to Georgia, and we are taking center Cedric Van Pran, 6'4", 310 pounds. I really, really like this guy, and he's young. Like, he just turned 21. I did a film breakdown on him, put it in the cards, Justin. 6'4", 310 pounds, and he is just super, super athletic, and that shows up in the run game, getting to linebackers. Like, I think he's elite at getting to the second level, hitting linebackers, working combos. Watch that Oregon game. I mean, he was driving guys into the sideline, and they have some good linebackers over there. In pass pro, has the athleticism desired. Definitely some stuff he's got to fix on. And then his main thing is just he's got to fix some false steps, that's the stuff that's very fixable. And again, he's a young player. As a redshirt freshman, started off 15 games for the national champion Georgia Bulldogs. So I really, really am a fan of him. I like his demeanor. He's not the strongest guy in the run game, but once he gets locked on, like, he stays connected. And then if you're a guy like that redirects the weight versus the offensive lineman, you're trying to make a play, he will get in your hip and just drive your ass into the ground. A lot like Nick Gates did for the Giants in 2020. And with the offensive line situation, like, obviously you got Thomas and Neal as those bookends. Azudu, drafted high, so you assume he's going to be starting going into the year next year. There's a lot of question marks. At the moment, we don't know what we have in Nick Gates. Feliciano probably won't be here. Lemieux, Bredesen, Bredesen showed some good stuff. Glowinski not very good. So you got to continue to invest in the interior offensive line. I get you a center in the middle, someone who's going to set the calls for the rest of the group going on. So I just think he's got so much potential, and his flaws are very fixable flaws. Again, like the false steps, and you'll see it in the breakdown if you go and watch it. So really like Cedric Van Pran, excited about this pick, and we are heading into round 3 with a wide receiver and offensive line help. So whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Daniel Jones or someone else, they're getting help. Round 3, pick 91, first of 2 third-round picks for the New York Giants. And I am taking a linebacker. Linebacker is arguably the Giants' biggest need after wide receiver, if not bigger, but I think wide receiver is just more important. And for the second year in a row, the Giants are taking Cincinnati linebacker number 0, and that's Ivan Pace Jr., 6', 239 pounds. He actually just transferred to Cincy this year from Miami of Ohio to go play with his brother Deshaun. And he is racking up the stats for the Bearcats. Like, through 9 games, he's number 7 in the nation for tackles with 96, first in tackles for a loss with 18, 4th in sacks with 8. I think this guy can just be a weapon for the Giants defense and Wink Martindale. I think he kind of is a better version of Micah McFadden, who obviously the Giants really liked and drafted. A little undersized, but he plays fast and aggressive. I think he's a pretty damn good athlete. Not an elite athlete for the linebacker spot, but a pretty damn good athlete, and his instincts and aggressiveness make up for maybe some size issues that he has. That is a worry for him, and that's why I'm taking him in the late 3rd round pick. Is because he's not going to be the best at just taking on offensive linemen, which is what the Giants really need. But I'm just not going to pass up Ivan Pace Jr. at this point. But he does he slips blocks really well. He has the lateral ability, and then again, just the aggressiveness to shoot gaps. You can line him up at edge, and he has actual pass rush ability working outside in. So again, his strength doesn't seem great. Doesn't really bring a lot of pop to blocks, but he's never. I don't see him get dominated either in the games that I watch. He does need to improve on his processing when asked to read defenses if he's going to play in a Mike linebacker role. But when he does know what's going on, he shoots gas with authority, low pad level, and just rips through guys. Sidestepping run blocks and run fits. When he does take them on full time, sometimes it's a wrestling match to disengage, but he does a good job to get off. Coverage ability doesn't jump off the page, but he has the profile for it. I think he just needs to be better recognizing route combinations. But he's not like a liability in coverage. It's just I think there's more there to be desired for the ability that he has. So Ivan Pace Jr., man, guy's a playmaker, and I think Wink Martindale would love to let him make plays in his defense. All right, finishing off day 2, round 3, pick 99. This is the pick from the Chiefs and the Kadarius Toney trade. And I'm getting some size for Wink Martindale. Some size at the cornerback spot. Wink Martindale definitely has a type when they've drafted corners for the Ravens. And I'm going Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. 6'2", 200 pounds. 3 interceptions so far in 2022 and a lot of pass breakups. I watched his game versus Georgia and BYU. Versus BYU, he was targeted 4 times, 0 incompletions, 3 pass breakups. Versus Georgia, the Georgia was 3 for 3, 38 yards and a touchdown targeting him. So 3 for 3, 38 yards isn't bad. Touchdown, you don't like that. Here's where those passes. One was on like a 7-yard slant where he was right there in it, but quarterback did a good job throwing it to the back shoulder where only the receiver could get it, and receiver makes a great catch. Second one is a screen play, not his fault. And then the third one was a fade touchdown where he had really good coverage, but I think he needed to be better at the catch point to break it up, even though he did get a hand in there, and just the Georgia receiver made an awesome play on it. But I think he's a long rangy corner built for man coverage, but I think he does well in zone too. Like almost sometimes he looks better in zone just because he does it so well. Like I think he has awesome high football IQ, good route recognition in zone. Like knows when to pass stuff off. Speed is fine for his size, but I think he needs some closing bursts. Needs to be a little bit better. So he's never like I don't see him ever get beat deep. And he's good at the point of attack when he's put in those contested catch situations. But he does overextend at times, and if they're running curl routes or in breakers, when he's playing some of that, a little bit of off man, he can struggle on that. But he's comfortable in press, or he's not going to jam you up, but he is comfortable in press, and obviously has that that length to do it. And I think this is the system that he fits best, is a Wink Martindale system. But I also don't like just drafting guys for system. I think he plays well in zone, like I said too. So he's not going to get, beat deep, not going to let wide receivers stack him. And I think he uses leverage well. It's just, again, he gives up separation on those comebacks in breakers when there's some good vertical sell. So also, he's like, there's times where they have good tight ends, they'll put him on the tight end. And I think that's valuable. Playing a team like the Ravens, you could pick Christian Gonzalez on Mark Andrews. With his size, I do think he needs to be a little better in run support. Like, he has the ability. It's just, there's too many negative plays I saw in run support. So, but Wink Martindale, I apologize not getting you Joey Porter Jr. in the first round. You're pissed off at me, but I got you a kid out of Oregon and Christian Gonzalez. All right, we're starting off day 3, and you can never draft enough. You say you never draft enough corners, which is true. I don't think you can never, ever draft enough interior offensive linemen, and we've seen the issues with the Giants' depth this year and not even having good starters to begin with. So I'm going to Michigan. And I'm getting guard for the Michigan Wolverines, Zach Zinter, who's 6'6", 315 pounds. I mean, he's a big physical O-lineman who plays with a nasty streak. Like, he's got a nastiness to his game that just endears me to him. Now, his athleticism is average in pass pro, and I think he just, his foot speed isn't great, but I think he needs to be better working, just having more rapid feet in pass pro and in the run game. Just kind of needs to get his feet and hands working together, but his hands are beautiful. His hands laying great, and there is just power. Like, there's a clip going around of him where he's setting to the right, bam, lays a punch, knocks the dude out, and then immediately flips his head and hips, bam, knocks another dude out. And this isn't like overextending or anything too. I actually went back and watched his game versus Georgia in the playoffs. I had a few times where he got beat pretty quickly by Trayvon Walker, Jalen Carter, but you kind of expect. I mean, that one guy went 1-1. The other guy could go 1-1 if he played, a position that was valued a little more than defensive tackle. So he can get beat quickly on initial moves, but once he's connected, he's just like a technician with his hands. Like, they come with violence, and he knows how to use them. In the run game, the first 2 steps, kind of similar to pass pro, where his feet need to be better. First 2 steps need to be quicker. Like, it's can be a little slow getting off the line, and again, why we're here. Taking him in the 4th round. But his hands land, and he has just strength, man, to torque defensive linemen, take them where they want, work combos, get the linebackers. And a lot of times you see, Blake Corum, the Michigan running back, his big plays are off of Zach Zinter, who I definitely think is the best lineman on Michigan. And he fits the smart, tough, dependable pretty damn well. We got Cedric Van Pran. The Giants drafted Josh Azudu. They bring in some more interior offensive line help with Zach Zinter out of Michigan, who I think you can line up at center guard. Like, I really do. Not tackle, but I really like Zach Zinter out of Michigan. All right, round 5, pick 159, and I'm going back to a position that we hit in the first round, and that's wide receiver. And if you think about it, the Giants, the only wide receiver they have under contract next year is Wan'Dale Robinson and Kenny Golladay, and Kenny Golladay most likely will be cut unless he has just some great, career resurgence in the second half of the season. And even then, I could still see him being cut. So, we drafted one in the first round, Wan'Dale. Maybe they re-signed Slayton. But they get a guy who I think fits exactly what the Bills look for in just people, or not the Bills, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll look for in people and players. And that is Michigan State wide receiver Jaden Reed, who's 6 foot, 185 pounds. 2021, he had over 1,000 yards in 13 games. This season came back to college when he could have went into the draft last year. He's only averaging 57 yards per game, so not as hot as a year. I think that's on pace for like 750 yards in 13 games. But I think he's just like, he has outside, inside flexibility, so he can play outside, play in the slot. Speed is good, but not great for his size, but he's just a very smooth player, and then that paired with, he's very detailed as a route runner, whether it's working double moves, like he gets into them flawlessly and beats guys like cleanly on those, route sell, he's working it in, he sells out, sells vertical. I think his worst thing in his route running is just when he's on like some comeback type routes, there can be a little too much gearing down when he's like, put him on a curl route. There can be too much gearing down in that. But he knows how to eat cushion and gets good releases to consistently get behind corners and beat them deep. Again, he doesn't have the greatest speed in the world, but he is speed's not an issue for him either. But he's not someone who's just going to burn you down the field. Like, he's got to do it with actually like good wide receiver play. It's not just going to be natural ability. Not a great leaper, but he does contort his body well and has some awesome contested catches. But also, I've only watched 1.5 games of him. I watched one full game and then watched a half game from last year. Tend to see any drops in that, but I was looking up some stuff on him. Supposedly he has some drop issues at the catch point in traffic, so that's obviously not great. But again, we're picking this guy in round 5. And here's another thing that I think is bigger than you realize. He is a feisty blocker who brings it every single rep, and that matters for Brian Daboll and this coaching staff. Like, it really is, like, I think it speaks to them when the wide receivers just put effort into the blocking game. So, and if you're going to use him in the slot at times, again, outside, I think, like, when I say outside inside versatility, I think it's like Sterling Shepard, not just like he's someone like you could play him outside inside. It's not going to take away from his game. So he's got that blocking ability, and that's needed at the slot position. So round 5, pick 192, Jaden Reed out of Michigan State. All right, round 6, pick 192. This pick is actually from the Chiefs in the Kadarius Toney trade. The Giants don't own their 6th round pick. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to guess, where did that pick go? You probably got it wrong. Keon Crossan trade. The Texans own that trade in the 2021 training camp. Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge traded away this 6th round pick for Keon Crossan, but they only have 9 picks right now. They might have 11 because of comp picks. Evan Ingram should receive a comp pick back, and then Keon Crossan actually got a decent deal from the Miami Dolphins. He might get a comp pick back. But anyways, this pick is from the Chiefs, and I'm going at a position that they drafted well last year in Daniel Bellinger, but you still need more help there. Chris Myrick is like a year-to-year type guy. After that, you don't really have anyone you're relying on. And I'm going Miami tight end Will Mallory. I've been watching this guy since he was a freshman in 2019. Always been a solid player. I think he's a pretty damn good athlete for his size, 6'5", 245 pounds. Like, he can test you up the seam and contort his body and make some tough catches and get some yak. Like, they even have used him in the tight end screen game a little bit. I think he's a solid route runner, has a good feel for zone. And also, the main thing, though, is he needs to get better at blocking out in line like a tight end. Like, he has the size, but he just hasn't been able to put it together out there, which, again, could be a lost cause. But where he is good is, like, blocking out on the perimeter as a lead blocker, whether it's, getting outside the tackles and, moving him in space, using him as like that lead, H-back, fullback type play, which Chris Myrick has done. I think Will Mallory can do that pretty well. So finishing off round 6, and I am going with Will Mallory, tight end out of the U. All right, round 7, 2 picks left for the Giants in this draft. Pick 217. This pick is actually from the Ravens in the Ben Bredesen trade. We got a 7th round pick back from them. And I'm going Texas running back. Now, there's going to be a big Texas running back in this draft. It's not going to be this guy, but he is big, and that's Roschon Johnson, 6'2", 233 pounds. He is a big running back. But honestly, he doesn't really play to his size. Like, I think his biggest issue is he's very hesitant and like to just go. Like he's kind of will dance a little bit. But we've seen this Giants coaching staff work with Saquon Barkley on that, and that's something that's very coachable. But he actually has the ability to make guys miss. Like he makes guys miss in the open field. You watch him versus Alabama. You know, he broke 2 tackles from Will Anderson. He broke another tackle. Some of these were like close to the line of scrimmage as well too. And then you get him in the open field, and you're like, man, for a guy this big, like he can actually move. Like I was impressed to see the way he was able to move. Like you see 6'2", 233 pounds, you're thinking this guy's just going to be a bruiser, and that's not it. But I do want him to be more of a bruiser, run behind those pads. And again, that is coachable things, but I just did see too much, like, and some lack of vision stuff too. I don't know how much that can be coached, but being more aggressive, just hitting the hole, you know, getting north and south, you can't coach that type of stuff. And I think you get a nice little running back who has like he's a flat out, like he is NFL body and athlete, undoubtedly. It's just about putting it together for Roschon Johnson. So hopefully, and the Giants, by the way, kind of need a running back. Like, yeah, Saquon. You don't have the only running back you have on the roster next year is Gary Brightwell. Saquon, obviously, think he'll be back. Breida, we'll see. But yeah, Roschon Johnson from Texas. All right, let's finish this off. Round 7, pick 233, the last one of the 2023 midseason mock draft. The first of 4 mock drafts. We're going to finish it off with a linebacker, a huge need for the Giants. I think in future mock drafts, linebacker will probably be taken a little more early. And even more often, maybe the 2. Like I could see the Giants taking 3 or 4 linebackers. But we're going Florida linebacker, Ventrell Miller. I actually watched this guy in the beginning of 2021 when we do our way too early mock drafts. Me and Grump took a look at him. I wasn't a huge fan of him. He's improved on the things that he's needed to. Now, he does have an age concern because he tore his bicep in 2021, so he came back as a 5th-year or 6th-year senior when you include redshirt. But like I said, he improved. Like I thought he was a kind of a slow processor. Not now. Yeah, watch him play versus Kentucky this year, who has a good team. He was picking stuff up. He was going bam, 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 just very quickly. And he's better at deconstructing blocks. Like he's taking on blocks in more than like one way. It's not just beating it with speed. He does beat it with speed. He does beat it with his aggressiveness and instincts. But, you know, he was split, like, you know, using that 2-hand, like splitting 2 guys at one time. You know, being able to spin out of blocks. Like I think he's really improved on those things. Now, where he hasn't improved is he's gotten a little more aggressive. Struggles in coverage. Like there was Kentucky, you know, got the ball over the top of him because he bit on play action. They throw it to the tight end on a drag route. It's ends up being like a 25-yard pass. So he struggles in coverage. But I think this guy could be a good like first and second down linebacker. You know, and you get him in round 7, a little older, but like I was shocked. And this was a guy we were looking at on a way too early draft preview. So there was some hype around him going into 2021. It fell off, and I think rightfully so fell off. But Ventrell Miller is finishing it off. So 9 picks. Started off, got our wide receiver from TCU. Got the wide receiver for the quarterback, Quentin Johnston. Got interior offensive line help with Cedric Van Pran in the 2nd round. And then Zach Zinter, we got him in the 4th round out of Michigan. Got a couple linebackers, Ivan Pace, and then also Ventrell Miller. Got a long corner and Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon for Wink Martindale. And then got another wide receiver, Jaden Reed from Michigan State, tight end Will Mallory. So and you get a running back. So you add weapons, add people from the trenches, O-line. Then you get any D-line or edge. Obviously, that can change going forward. But hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys. Next mock draft will be a week after the Senior Bowl, which that one's usually a little more Senior Bowl heavy because we just watch all the Senior Bowl guys in January. So next mock draft for the Giants, and we will know what our actual picks are, will be post Senior Bowl. So appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.